Hey y'all, I know I look a mess, but it's early and we gotta put on this insulin pump. So hey and good morning. We're going to put this insulin pump on and we're gonna go on about our day. Right here, I just peeled off the sticky part of my old one just so y'all can see like the little motherboard in it. And right here is where the insulin actually sits once I inject it. And right here is the actual needle up top that goes into my skin. And I was just trying to get a better view of the needle here, but it didn't really focus. It was just focused on my hand instead. Now I will say the needle does not hurt and it is plastic, so it does bend, kind of like the catheters. All right, so I've gathered all my supplies that I will need. This is the actual insulin pump right here. And this is the syringe. And this is the actual needle that goes on top of the syringe. So we're just going to screw this on together. And we're going to take this top off here. And that little itty bitty needle there, if you can see it, will be the part that goes into this little hole here on the insulin pump. And that's where we will inject the insulin into. Here we have the insulin. This is the old insulin one that I've been using all the way up until now. It really isn't that much in there. So I had to go get a new one out of the fridge and let it sit for a minute so it can reach room temperature, because that is very important. You don't want to inject cold insulin. And this is what it looks like when it's unused straight out of the box and it has an orange cap on it. After we take this orange cap off, you are not to put it back on. It won't go back on anyway. And that is also important to know because that rubber piece needs to dry in between each time that you use the valve. So now we're going to pull the syringe down, pull air into the syringe all the way down until the amount of units that we're going to inject. This insulin pump holds up to 200 units. That is also why this syringe only lets you draw up 100 units. So I'm going to draw it all the way down just above the 200 and push that air in. So just in case we pull in any air bubbles from the valve, I will be able to dump the bubbles to the center at the top and push them back into the valve, no problem, because we will have enough insulin in there to push back in without having to start back over or keep pulling and pushing insulin in and out of the valve. So now that we pushed all the air in that we drew into the syringe, we're going to pull down the same amount of units that we just pushed in to the valve. And you want to do it very slowly to avoid any air bubbles. But as you see right here, I pushed in a little too much air and it's automatically just drawing itself in, which can be bad and can actually cause more air bubbles. And I know that sounds confusing. Like, Deanna, why would you push air into a valve when you're trying to avoid air bubbles? But you have to do that because if you don't, you will not be able to pull the insulin out. It's just the law of physics. For whatever reason, that's just how it works. If you don't push the air in, nothing will come out and you will risk pulling the plunger of the syringe all the way out and then insulin will fall completely out of it. Now that we have drawn the insulin into the syringe, we're going to thump it and thump all the bubbles, if there are any, to the tippy top and get it to the center of where the needle is so we can just push it straight back in to the insulin valve. Now we're just going to push the insulin that we aren't going to use back into the valve and any bubbles, if there are any. Now thumping can be time consuming, especially if the bubbles are stubborn and they don't want to go back in. But when you're pushing, you will see the bubbles go back up into the valve. I don't know if y'all were able to actually see those couple bubbles, but I have spent as long as 30 minutes sometimes trying to get the bubbles to go back in. Some days I've had good days when it's only taken me like 2 minutes. It all really depends on, one, how old the insulin is, or if the insulin is a new valve. Most of the time when it's a new valve, you don't really have a lot of issues with bubbles, but you have to be patient. Now we're going to push the insulin into the hole right there that I was just pointing to. And I already did it off camera because I had to go into the app and actually do it. So it was no way that I would actually be able to show you all this unless I was recording on my iPad. My last insulin pump was on my arm. We're not doing that this time, so I'm going back to the stomach. I have done it on my leg before, but we have to be mindful of my kidney scar, so I have to be mindful of where to place it, and my sensor is currently on my left leg. So now we're just going to break this plastic piece off. It's very tough. I'm going to break it off. This is where the needle is going to come out at. And now we're just pulling the backing off to the adhesive part. And you want to hold the sensor from the side because it is very flimsy and it will fold on top of itself and you won't be able to use it. And now we're just going to go ahead and apply it to the stomach. I keep everything in this original starter kit box, so when I need to change my pods, I just grab this box because it has everything in it, including the current sensor that I'm using. So I always switch the box when I change my sensor because you never know you're going to have an issue. I still have the sensor so that I can scan it, especially if it does not connect through the insulin pump app because they read alongside each other. So yeah, always keep that just in case you have an issue and your glucose readings are not transferring over to the app. Also, my Dexcom comes with this overpatch to help it stay stuck. I don't really use that. And my insulin pump does as well, but I don't use those either. And this is the actual size of my sensor that measures my blood sugars. And that's just the old one there. I just had it stuck on top just for the purposes of this video. And right here, I'm actually delivering insulin because my blood sugar was 3 in the 300s. So right here, you'll hear it clicking and you'll hear it keep clicking until you hear that last click, meaning that it is done delivering the insulin to me. And that's it. It's that simple.
For the love, gotta hurt it now. Oh my, she's a long way from suburban towns. Long way, really long way from suburbia. Small town love, fall down love. Not let a kid drink too much, think too much. Thoughts drowning me.